Welcome to one more episode of Tuesday Technical Talk. Today's topic is trend channels. Now, we have already seen trend lines in one of the previous episodes, and there are a couple of other videos on YouTube also. So what is trend channel? It's an extension of trend line, but it's very powerful, very useful, especially when it comes to targets, right? And on trend lines, usually when you have a trend line support or a trend line resistance, that is your starting point, or that's the trade initiation. Let's say there is a support trend line, you buy on the trend line, but you don't get a target, right? Where do you sell? So if you join a trend channel, you also get your buy point as well as your sell point, and then short point and as well as your buy point. So let's see what trend channels are made up of. It's something like this. It's like parallel lines. You can look at like a railway track. They have to be parallel. They cannot be converging or diverging. They have to go straight, right? So every software or every indicator, or where you can say website, wherever there are charts, there is an option to draw trend channels, right? So let's talk about this. There's like support resistance, support resistance, support resistance. This is like an ascending trend channel going up. So this is support. So more in this kind of situation, I will be more of buyer because it's an upward trend. I'd like to buy on the supports and sell on the resistances. In the same way, let's talk about this one, then sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. So that's your long trades. Of course, you can also think about shorting it, or maybe I would consider writing options, because I don't want to go against the main trend. The main trend is up, so I would be like to be a buyer and not a seller, right? So let's talk about some channels here. You can see this many a times. Most of the stocks, they go in this trend channel fashion, and once you have a good trend channel, it can last for several months at times, or several weeks at least, which will help you to trade in that direction, right? Trade in that zone, what we call it. And this is there, and you may have to avoid at least some kind of filtration. Like in trend lines also we have filters. Here also there are small filters that the shadow goes up and comes back. That's a filter, right? So let's talk about more examples like trend lines. Here you can see that. Now, the second part of this trend channel is whenever you have a good trend channel like this, and that breaks, that calls for a short, like an upward trend channel has been broken, right? And you see this broken, and then that could be your short trade for this move. Now this looks only 3-4 candles, but it's a substantial move of more than 10 to 15%, right? That's a good short trade. So trend channels help you to trade within the trend channel to buy and sell. Then trend channel also helps you to sell on the opposite side, which is a short trade when it breaks the trend channel, right? And now let me give you one advanced tip. Advanced tip, are you guys ready? Is that if you see this trend channel was touching the upper, in the last part, it was not touching it. That itself showed that it has weakness, and that weakness turned out to be a breakdown, right? So that's an advanced nugget. Like I can also talk on trend channels or trend lines and all this basic stuff, which I call the base of technical analysis. Each of them I can talk for 4 hours, 5 hours, because what I believe is you have to have your strong foundation on all these basics, which you're watching on all these shows. Trend lines, moving averages, candlestick pattern, trend channels, basics of RSI, and basics of support resistance. They have to be so strong that you don't even need those advanced tools like Elliott and Gann and all those things, which are fancy, which are good, which works, but you don't need them to make money, right? So as always I say, first make your base strong, and then always go deep in couple of tools and make it very strong, like we spoke about RSI in the last few episodes. So let's talk about this trend channels. Keep going. Buy, sell, buy, sell. It gives you good supports, good targets, and it's very easy to trade. It's a very low risk trade when you buy on a trend line, and you have a very small tight stop loss. You can see that, okay, price is struggling to cross the trend line, right? So how do you draw this trend line? Trend channel is in every software there will be a point, or you can even just copy this trend line and put it parallel here. Right? There are some options where you can directly draw trend channels, or there is an option to just copy this line and put it on the top where there are meeting all the points, right? So that's the best part about trend channels. Let's look at some of more examples. Look at this trend channels. Now, like you saw, if you go back and remember, I strongly advise go back and check the trend line episode, and you saw that the 3 important things of a trend line or a trend channel is the length of the trend line, is the Period is the angle, right, and the number of touch points. So if you see, there are good many touch points, and the length is also substantially high, and the angle is like less than 45 degrees, and then it breaks on the upward side. That means the momentum has started further, it's got faster, and that goes in a faster direction. Now here you cannot draw a trend channel because it will be too steep, right? So you need to understand all these details about trend channels. Now start drawing it first of all. It's the best way. Keep playing with the charts, at least 100 charts a day to become a good trader. I always say in my videos. Again, look at this: first, second, third, fourth. First, second, third, and fourth. Almost all of them, like it's almost like a 1 year or 6 to 8 months on the weekly chart. So the trend channels will work on weekly, daily, monthly, hourly, 15-minute, and it will give you good supports and resistance, give you good entries and exit, and they are very, very simple and very, very powerful, right? So let's talk about this again, breakout. Now that means the speed has increased. It was going at 45 degrees, now it's going at 65 degrees. Right, the speed of the market, the speed of the trend. This will also confirm with RSI. Of course, you need a confirmation. Let's say there is a breakout with volume. Let's say there is a breakout with RSI crossing 60. Let's say there is a breakout and then there is a PRD or a divergence on RSI. Let's say there is a breakout with Bollinger Band squeeze opening. I hope you have seen all these episodes. So combination of all these basic tools gives you great simple trades in your market. And look at this again: trend channel, support, resistance, support, resistance. That could be the filter. This could be like a false trap, or we call it bull trap, right? Now look at this. Now let's talk about descending trend line or descending trend channel. The same way it works as support and resistance. So you short, 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 and then cover your shorts. Like that's the way it works. So let's see descending trend channel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then look at that shadow. Now if you had your trend channel drawn already and you see then there is a shadow coming up, that means you are ready to cover your short, or you are ready to go buy fresh longs, or you can even buy calls, right? So once you know there is a good support or resistance, that means you can work out. Now that's a downtrend or down or descending trend channel, and that breaks out, and that breaks out with a big white candle. What should you do? Buy. So then downtrend trend channels will help you to short and buy, and also help you to buy when it breaks out of that channel, right? So this is very, very powerful tool. You can use it in whenever I do my videos, you must have seen I've been drawing trend lines or trend channels very often, right? Now these are all simple, again, short trend lines, trend channels going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like there's a false breakout here, like a bull trap. Now this is a breakdown. Now let me give you one more pro tip, advanced nugget, okay? This is a downward trend channel. It breaks out. That means it's supposed to be going up, but then it comes back. That's like a bull trap. If the bull trap happens, then definitely it's going to break the downside. That means bulls lost it on the upside. Now bears are going to take care of the downside. So this is one advanced thing. So a failure of a pattern or a failure of a trend channel or a trend line or a moving average is also a pattern itself, right? Maybe it's getting slightly advanced, but if you keep going with this, you will learn a lot. Now it's time, like so many episodes down the line, you should go to the advanced. And if you're new to the channel, you can watch the previous episodes and connect the dots and come back to this video again, right? So more and more charts, you can keep drawing this. I can show you all night, like all day. The most important thing, the line should be parallel. They should not divert or converge. They should be parallel like a railway track, right? Now, the most important concept of trend channels or trend lines, which I must have covered, you must have seen me using this word called CIP, change in polarity. It's a very simple tool. It's basically previous support becomes resistance, previous resistance becomes support, right? So let's talk about a broken support becomes resistance, a broken resistance becomes support, and look for a candle reversal and you can buy the bottom or sell the top. It's basically the same on support resistance. The same thing is there for trend lines also and trend channels also. So let's see some examples. Look at this. This is a downward sloping trend channel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you have a breakout and the same trend channel is now working as a support. So that's a great change in polarity and that produces a good move on the upside, right? So that's called trend channel CIP. One more, you can see this downward sloping trend channel and then breaks out, takes support. So it reconfirms that, okay, now I'm closing this zone. I'm not going back into the trend channel and moving up. That's a great signal. This is my favorite signal. You must have seen me using this in every trade or every video I do. CIP, change in polarity, is very basic, very simple and very basic, right? And then you have change in polarity. So all this comes to the last slide, which is again on the downward. You have an upward sloping channel. It breaks it, and the same thing works as a resistance. Comes down, CIP. Right? So I hope you enjoyed this trend channel. You have to, just let's to sum up, is it's a parallel line to the trend line, right? In the longer the trend channel, stronger it is. It will work as support and resistance. There can be ascending trend line, descending trend lines. Okay, and if it misses joining the top or the bottom, that means it's going to break out on the other side. That's the advanced nugget. And the second advanced nugget I told you is that the same thing will work as CIP, change in polarity. Right? So if you're enjoying this shows, and if you like something and if you learn something very important, put that in the comment, and make sure you watch all the previous and the next episodes also to connect the dots and keep learning, keep improving, keep upgrading your knowledge. And markets are great. We are into a structural bull market. It can go a long way for the next few years. So make the most of it, right? So I'll see you in my next episode. Till then, good luck and good trading.